hot on the heels of the Konami Contra Anniversary Collection. That's not a mouthful, is it? We have Blazing Chrome, which is a Contra-like clone game, which is available today, July 11th, 2019, for all major platforms. If you have Game Pass Ultimate, whether for the console or for the PC, you get this game included in your subscription. It runs you $20 US otherwise, so keep that in mind. I am a huge Contra fan, and I say that because I obviously have some bias and love towards Contra. If you like Contra, you will like this game. They've done a lot of really cool things with this game, I think, that make it a little bit more distinct than just a traditional Contra clone. What you're actually looking at here is the Game Pass for PC beta launcher on my Windows 10 computer. So that's what this interface looks like, and there's some videos and a little trailer here and a couple of photos I want to show you guys. I could talk through a little bit. I played it when I got home from work. I have beaten the game. There are 6 levels. You will get 2, after you beat the game, you'll get 2 more characters, which really change the way the game is played. They're melee-based as opposed to run-and-gun-based. It really does change a lot of the game. There's a lot of alternate modes, time attack modes, mirror modes, etc., which I think will give you enough replayability to justify the asking price, unless you're like me, and then you kind of already got it, quote-unquote, for free because you bought Ultimate, and you're just riding that out. This does a lot of really cool things, though. You'll notice here at the top of the screen, first and foremost, you do have different slots for power-ups, which I like. So in a lot of these games, you have a power weapon, and you always have to sacrifice one for another. That was first introduced in an earlier Contra game where you actually do have different slots. Thankfully, this game keeps that tradition alive, so you have different power-ups that you can toggle through on the fly. You can also run, you can lay down, you can jump. You also have a free look like Super Metroid. The trade-off is you can't move while you're doing it. So you press a button, your character locks in place, and then you can freely aim your gun in 360-degree motion, which is really nice because there are some bosses that are going to require some tricky shots, and you're going to want to be standing still to get some good shots back while, not just running wildly at them. The other thing that this game does, which I really, really like, is it mixes up gameplay constantly. So not only are you going to be fighting a lot of bosses through each level, there's a lot of mini bosses that you'll fight. So you'll do run and gun against waves of baddies, then you'll get to this really cool mid-boss fight, then more and more baddies, then another boss, and then you'll get to the end and you'll fight a really hard boss, or maybe not necessarily hard, but just much more complex, something you're expecting to see at the end of a level. So it mixes that up constantly. The other thing that it does is it constantly mixes up your traversal. Sometimes you'll just be running left to right. Sometimes you'll be on a helicopter flying around. There are giant mech suits that you can get into and pilot that have different types of weapons. There's also a throwback to that really hard Battletoads level where you're on that motorbike and you're doing jumps and fighting people. So this game has it all, and I really do appreciate it for that. I think it keeps the gameplay fresh. As far as weapons go, you are going to get some really cool weapons. This one in particular I really liked. It's actually a charge-up weapon. So unlike traditional Contra games where you're just holding down shoot and you're just spraying infinite amounts of ammunition in every direction, this game actually has a couple second wind-up. The beam gets bigger and bigger, and then you release it and you get a 2 or 3 second charge shot. And it's extremely powerful. It's a nice risk and reward, I think, against a lot of the bosses. You're also going to find a lot of other really cool weapons that some are more useful than others. I really did like the drone, for example, that flies behind you and just provides a little bit extra cover fire. I thought that was pretty useful. There's also this energy whip type weapon that reminds me of an old Castlevania game where you whip around this energy and you crack, you hit into people that way, which I think is really, really cool. So I think this game does a really good job of mixing up a lot of weapons and a lot of gameplay types, which I think will keep things fresh. They did include a video. It usually is a little, it takes a second to buffer, so we'll just kind of let it rewind for a second before it catches up. Just to give you an idea, it looks and feels really well polished. I will say overall, I think the game does a really good job of just making you feel like just a bona fide badass. So you could see some of the gameplay mechanics here, some of the bosses, some of the stuff is time, some of the stuff is these, platforming, just stand there and spray and pray and hope to God that, enemies take you out. There's the mech. There's some of the little bit of the vehicles there that you're going to get to experience, and jumps and platforms. That's an example of one of the mid-boss fights. There's this type of mode, which kind of reminds me of those Contra levels again, where you would be running towards the screen. But definitely a lot to see and do here. Definitely a throwback to those old games. I didn't get a chance to play this with a friend. I played this by myself, but this is one of those games I feel like it's got that score attack element to it that you could just play again and again and again. And really, when you get to the end and you unlock those new characters, things really do change for you quite a bit. And I think it really does mix everything up once again. So I recommend this game. I would say it's definitely one you want to check out if you're a fan. Know what you're getting into, and hopefully this video did just that. If you guys like what you saw, please consider commenting, rating, and subscribing. The name of the game, Blazing Chrome. Hope you guys have a great weekend when it starts. Take care of yourselves, and until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.